All right, so here we are, the IWAR Gold Strategy Workshop number 85, the Hunter Henry of workshops. So, we're doing this take two because our first try through kept glitching out. So,
Mhm.
uh, to quickly cover some housekeeping stuff first, one, that's Mike Cook. I'm Matt Riley. We're your hosts for this uh, breakdown of the final cycle of 2024. The IWA will not have a holiday cycle. So if you're coming back or not aware, be aware that after this, there'll be a 2 week pause, and then
Yep.
Iron will start, I believe, December 30th. Uh,
Yeah, I
heading,
guess you could technically send it in on the same time. You just won't get a response for like 2 weeks.
right.
So,
Yeah. Kim will be, boozing it up, and, Johnny B is going to be, on the town. So, a couple things. One, the ladder match battle royal, which is the IWAR essentially Money in the Bank match. The battle royal spans the IWAR. If you want in, it's $1 per entry. There's 3 entries max, and it's a separate battle royal. So you might win two battle royals this month, and there's 500K in imaginary cash. And of course, the winner gets the pool of money. So it's a nice little way to get some item credit. Start your year off right. We're also taking nominations for the end of year awards for the IWAR network. If you have nominations you want to send in, there are links all over the IWAR magazine, as well as information on our spring events, Johnny B Cup, the Ronald Memorial Tag Team Tournament, and the Lethal Lottery Trifecta Six-Man Tournament, which is, of course, free to enter, just one entry per wrestler, per player, and one wrestler per player. And I think that's the major stuff. So quickly hit what we hit before, we'll hit again. So question one was from Jimmy, and it was about 41 versus 42, and how often do they, go six across the
yep.
board, or they split? And Michael's answer was
Yeah, oh, conveniently, I'm already at the spot.
right.
So, basically, what we've known for the past 2 to 3 years, if the first two are the same, then the expectation is that it will be the same for the entire cycle. It was about this time last year. I'm trying to scan. Yeah, about what 12 cycles ago, 11 or so. It started doing the 3-3 split, and just to go over what we said about it, the reason I don't really like the 3-3 split and how it was going was that you had no clue what to take in iron. You knew to take the opposite in steel. You had no real solid foundation for what to take in gold or diamond. And then you essentially knew the options left in bronze and jade and could figure those out pretty easy. Um, you get a pretty more consistent playing field if it's the six across. Um, and you really get a even playing field, although it'll frustrate people if it's some combination that's not consistent each cycle. So, we've had last cycle was it a 5-1? Yeah, 5-1. So there was 541s, 142. The one before that was 3-3. And the one before that was 4-2. Um, so we're starting to get to where it's not even. It'll kind of be interesting to watch that over the next few cycles to see if it is what's going to happen from now on. But based on what's happened the last year or two, we know 3-3 and we know all six. So use those as your assumptions until you see a few more cycles where it's a combination of the two, and then we'll have to kind of reconfigure what we know about it. But we don't know anything yet because it's just starting.
There it is. All right. So
Yeah.
question number two. There were a bunch of questions, but I wrote two that were written down that I was really about. This one I liked a lot, and it was regards to when you're tracking. Do you assume that with the beginning of a new year, you can reset for the year and kind of think, for instance, someone asked, I think it was Darren actually, was the third question, was how many times throughout the year have each of the, combos dropped?
Mm-hmm.
Which you talk about that when we do the breakdown anyways,
Yeah.
but uh, kind of combining the two elements, in the aspect of, well, with that in mind, do you consider, like, for instance, like 28s hasn't dropped, and I think in 16 cycles or something like that.
Mhm.
It's been a while. But before that, it was like, what,
Not for that though. Yes,
38
I was going to
cycles?
say that's pretty short compared to what it's been the past few times. So
Right. So now you go, okay. Um, do, do, do you wait for the other way to throw you the killer curveball, or do you play it safe? And what do you do? Uh,
I
so
play it safe.
right, and we're more about the play it safe here, at
Mhm.
the IWAR
Yeah,
workshop.
I like stars.
Right,
So
and this, and don't forget, I think we mentioned this last time we judged this, that this is a 4-star cycle. What that
mhm.
means is Attaboy's going to do this, I think, 4 times throughout the year, where they're going to, as celebration for the 40th anniversary, they're going to have not just earn 1 star, but four. So it's a good way if your wrestlers, climbing up those rankings and trying to get, closer to the Hall of Fame to do that. Because we always know it, you can get in the Hall of Fame through like $5 million, which is a really, really, hard way to do it. 1,000 wins is the easiest way to do it. But also the skill way is to show, the stars. And I think, well, how many guys have you had in now? 18
Six,
this,
17. I
this
think I got
past year.
17 now. Yeah, only did I did 16 this past year,
Yeah. So,
and yeah, by the end of this cycle, I could have 12 more. I have that many people that are within four. So
all right. So
yeah,
there you go.
hoping for a good gold and diamond, and you'll see a pretty good list of retirees this cycle.
Right. All right. So your take on that overall?
Yeah. So there's a few things. There's what I do and what I would like to see, but I don't have the answer to. I always reset is my answer, and this is one of the tricky things because I consider this the first cycle the way I track because this is connected to the first report.
Okay.
A lot of people consider this still this year, which it is technically, and I don't know if there's not like an IWA reset. That doesn't exist. Like they don't clean it up and say here's the new year. So I think the answer is actually that you should probably look at it as a rolling 17 cycles.
Hmm.
Um, that's not the way I have mine set up. It's something I've thought about doing, and maybe next cycle with that extra time off, I'll actually have that for us.
Okay.
But I do think it's something you should continuously look at, and not necessarily within a year. The year works though because you are kind of looking over that span. So as the year goes on, it's going to fill in the same span
Hmm.
we're talking about of 17 cycles. But um, yeah, you can really see at a yearly level. I think there is still some merit the way I do it because you don't click way past things. There we go. Gotcha. Um, so this is the year that just finished since I just started the new one, with
Hmm.
the cycle we're on. And you see that nothing exceeded three in it. There was only one that had a zero, and actually not that many threes, but everything, there was going to be a couple threes within, and that was mostly the last couple cycles those hit. Majority
Right.
of those were the past like 2 or 3 cycles. 2 years ago, you see there was a couple fours, a few more zeros,
Hmm.
and it's interesting because you notice the ones that didn't hit were double drops, which we've talked about a few times on here that they had an all time high. So that
Right.
makes sense why the zeros went away, even when you look back 2 years ago. You see, it's really common that over that 17 cycle span, everything's going to hit once, except maybe one or two things. You're going to have majority of them hit twice, and very few hit three times. So
Right.
what I do with that information, the way I have it, where I start out with just the one, and it's going to start filling in. Basically, once we get to the ones and we start getting some twos, I start eliminating the twos in favor of the ones that hit one or zero because, as you see by the end of the year, it's more often that you're going to have a two.
Right.
So if I'm trying to have a tiebreaker between two things, I'm going to pick the one that's going to get into the two before the three or stay at the one. So that's kind of the way I use it. But I
Sure.
do think if we looked at a rolling 17, we're probably going to see something that we haven't really paid attention to that
Mhm.
is good. I think that's actually one that's useful. So I'll try to
Right.
work on that. Here's a summary. So, this, like I said, we got all the twos and stuff. You can see by Fed how many times it's hit. And yeah, you see it's all the twos are the big ones
Right.
every year. Yeah, see twos right there. Twos. And you see that the four times are so rare that
Right.
I eliminated anything as soon as it hit a three because we didn't have one this year. We had two the year before. We had two the year before that. So it's kind of one of those you can eliminate a few things. You can kind of make some better educated guesses,
Sure.
and yeah, that's kind of it.
All right.
So
And the
yeah,
other,
that's a pretty useful one though. So it's worth
the
looking into that more.
an easy short question was someone said, "Can I apply this type of approach to other feds?" And
Yes, but it's going to be slightly different.
right.
Um, it's not necessarily the things we look at on that sheet every cycle and talk about. Not quite the same in each Fed. Each one's kind of unique into itself. It's like you look at still doesn't match up the 25 on a 29. It's a 30 in that one and stuff. So there's going to be some kind of differences in everything, but there's certain things like if we look back here, uh, you see out of this year, the only Fed that had three hit three times, it was Jade.
Right.
Um, some things like that. So there's a few things to where I wouldn't necessarily use the same approach every Fed. Some of the things we talked about where like you eliminate everything that's happened already that cycle, you eliminate the last three cycles drop for that Fed. Those things are going to be the same, but some of the more unique items where you're trying to guess in between, they'll start changing depending on which Fed it is. So you got to kind of look for a few additional items that are happening in that one that isn't the same as the others.
All right. So I think that's a pretty good set of questions. So thanks for those questions. We're always happy to tackle the new ones. So send them away. Post your comment below, and no, you cannot comment live. We're not live. If
Like,
you're not watching this live, say we're live now. But
yeah, I was going to say, I'm
so
pretty sure this is live.
yeah,
This is happening right now.
yeah. So breaking down the December 2024 cycle, how bad is it?
Well, it's the opposite of bad based on what we've just talked about because we'll start at the back because, like I said, I'm going to. So I got it right in still because let's go back to the back real quick. So we knew that it wasn't the normal 3-3 last cycle, but they finished out with four straight 41s.
Hmm.
Now, when they were going a cycle at a time, if we saw one that did change, which there was very few when that was happening, but if one ended like that, basically the logic was use it the next cycle. And when it hit an iron, I would go, okay, it looks like they're about to give us a gift on this, wonderful last cycle.
Sure.
And so still hit, and that makes me feel like it's going to be in gold. Could it be a big swerve? Yes, but based on what we see here, I would use a 41. And worst case, we talk about it all the time. The 41s won't go to 41. You're going to get a 42 and you're going to get a 43. That's worst case.
Right.
When you want to hit a star and you get those four stars, that point matters a lot. You don't get the worst hold.
Right.
So I would go with the 41 this cycle. Um,
Take the
it just
points.
feels, yeah, it feels like that's what the pattern says to do. So
Pretend you're
it
not
is,
Jason Tucker.
yeah.
Take the points. All right. So how bad is this back end?
Well, that's going to make it pretty good because we know hold 90 is here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So that eliminates 83.
Yep.
We know the 42s are out. We know that these two are here or here.
Right.
We'll talk about that in a minute. So we are left between what goes in 12, and that's going to be 63 or 62, and it could
Right.
be either one, and 65 and 61 here. So that is 4 options on the back if you're using hold 90 as your 44 and only the 41s. Um, it'd be tough to narrow down past that, but those are your 4 options. 4 is about the best you can get on the back and feel great about it.
Right.
Reason I put both of these here, you see that we're 3 cycles in a row of the 45-1, which is
Mm-hmm.
67 being the 44. If you look back, you'll notice that it's rare. This is the only instance so far.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's one. But it's not common that you go more than 3 cycles with the 45-1 is the 44. So, it's mainly your point flow. You're going to get the same amount of points either way. But
Right.
yeah, this is a cycle where you may want to flip those and do 85 as your 44, 67 here.
Grab those stars.
Yeah. That's about your report hit.
Right.
Because everybody's getting those now too.
All right.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. You'll look at 63, 62 as your hold 12 and 65, 61 here. So 4 options on the back. Like I said, about as good as you can get because we are also going to have very few front options at the end of this. So iron was 27.26. We'll get rid of that.
Right.
Last cycle's gold was 27s. And remember, we said on here that it was a pretty good possibility of a double drop last cycle. So it was good to see that hit. It's just
You heard it
unfortunately
here
wasn't where I
first.
went. 2 cycles ago, gold was the 29.27. Still got 29.26 out. And we did the 3 cycles ago as 28.27. So, like I said, that's not hit in a long, long time. Years at this point, right? So we'll take that out. We also get to eliminate 2 of the 29.28s because they have hold 25 in them. And
Right.
with that, we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fronts. So if you combine 8 fronts and 4 backs, 32 options. That's it. Yep.
Here it is, folks.
So if you have 6 wrestlers, you've basically got what a little under a 20% chance, like an 18% chance of hitting a 501. If our logic is right so far.
Right.
That's a pretty good odd. So let's go over what we got here, though, because this is an interesting bunch. We have 2 double drops. The 28s have not happened for 16 cycles, and I think you mentioned it, but if you look back at 28, the last time was 35 cycles in between. The time before that one was 35 cycles in between. I think it's the only 2 I've got on this chart.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only 2. So it's a chart with like 70 some cycles, and it's happened twice. So we talked about how there were more double drops this past year, but I don't think it's worth taking a 28, knowing that it's been that big of a gap the last few times until you see that it's going to start hitting more frequent. So
There you go.
that's probably your biggest long shot is the 28s. I think 26s are probably a little bit of a long shot as well because, like I said, we had more double drops. So I do think there'll be more this year, but I don't necessarily think you start out right now with them.
Right.
But if you want to take one, I'd take the 26s over the 28s.
All right.
Um, 28 26 happened 5 cycles ago.
Mm.
Pretty reasonable there. That's and 29 28 happened 10 cycles ago. Um, I've got them in green because that also had one of the 25s from 2 cycles ago. But I still, it's gonna, okay, hold on. Let me make it.
Right.
It's kind of a weird pattern still. You see when we get no's, it's 50-50 if you're getting two or one.
Right.
I don't think it's something that we can even use to really get any kind of an assumption off of. So it's in this one only. If you feel like you see something over here, maybe, but I don't think it's really helpful.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably between 29 28 and 28 26, unless you want to go all in on one of the double drops. But I think I'd be somewhere in one of those two and probably play all four backs is what I would do.
There you
Pick
go.
one or two of these and go with those four backs. I think all the backs will be good that we picked. Like obviously you're going to miss a 45 on two, but the others should, it'll be okay. So, but yeah, that's it. It's like I said, it's a really low number. I think we had something close 2 or 3 cycles ago, but it's only a few times a year does it work out to where you get to eliminate, that many. You get a lot of repeats sometimes where,
Right.
the first two feds overlap with what you're already canceling, or you cancel out more of the double drops, things like that. But yeah, we got to eliminate a lot. So it's a nice, clean little chart on the front and back.
There it is. Well, like you said, it's a easier month to pick 'em. It's a matter of just the right
Mhm.
combo and the right flow. And with the 4-star, bonus hanging out there, if you're about those, stars, you might just go, you know what, I'm gonna roll the dice and maybe get a 496, 497, but get that as opposed to getting a 493, 492.
Yeah, and still, like I only had a 498 hub, but I had a lot of stars, and yeah, it felt pretty good because, like I said, I had 12 wrestlers, and I think I got 32 stars out of still. So yeah, I'll take that every day.
All right.
That's what I'm hoping for again this rest of the cycle. So
Nice. Now, did you have a pleasant Thanksgiving?
mhm. Yeah, didn't
Yeah.
really do much, so
Uh,
that's good for me.
now, do you host or do you travel?
No, we all my wife's family lives here, so we just go to their houses.
Oh, okay. And who was it? Actually, we should mention, speaking of your area, was it Brandon that was from Kentucky?
I already forgot the name.
Brandon Schaus. I hope I'm
Yes,
saying it
that's
right.
it.
So
That
Nameless
sounds
Minion
right.
of Solace 4 showed up in
Yeah,
the
that was the name. So yeah,
MMA kind of just I didn't realize Brandon was from there. So
yeah. So
shout out to
second
fellow
Kentucky manager is
Kentuckian.
active. Yeah, I know most of the retired ones here, but yeah, it's cool to see another active.
Now, when you're in Kentucky, is the thing where you're either like, what was the team? Is Duke? No, not Duke.
This is
Kentucky,
Louisville and Kentucky.
Louisville. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Another big basketball player. That's Darren's job. Uh, so there it is. So, of course,
90% of the state's Kentucky. Also, it's not Louisville. Literally has just the little circle of Louisville. Nobody else cares for them outside of that.
Rick Pitino effect. And
Yeah.
don't ask for his table. Oh,
No,
uh,
he's cool now.
you
He
think?
yeah, he's back hanging out with Kentucky, which upsets Louisville now.
Oh,
He's
nice.
basically disowned them.
There you go. Uh, so before we go, do you have a favorite holiday gift related to wrestling that you got?
What did I get? Trying to think.
Anytime,
Oh, hmm. it would have been birthday more than Christmas.
Okay.
Christmas. So it was weird because growing up, um, we didn't have a lot of stores in my area that actually had wrestling figures. It's kind of weird. Like, we only had Kmart and Walmart, and they did not sell LJNs or Hasbro's really. Like, we would have to go to Toys R Us, which was 2 hours away. So I would get like one to two figures, but yeah, we just never, that wasn't something I got a lot on Christmas. So I'd probably say give me like a No Mercy on 64, something like that.
I
Yeah.
was I was as a kid, I never got like I think I got I know I got like Beefcake, Valentine, and I want to say Piper. It was like like Orndorff. I got Orndorff. I remember that. But they were the kind of like the you bend them and it like the steel would poke out or
Yeah.
whatever little wire.
So
Uh,
LJ and Bendy's in the mid
yeah,
80s. Yeah. They're rough looking.
yeah.
I have a few.
Well, I guess we can all hope for a no coal in our stocking from IWA as we finish out the year. But uh, I do want to say, this is our last show of the year, so I want to thank everyone for watching. We hope this has helped. I know, Mike has a lot of good things to break down, and we can't go over every single one of them, but we hope that you guys uh, get a lot out of these shows. And of course, if you have questions, throw them in the comments. If you want to tell us what your Christmas gift was, throw it in the comments. Uh, And I guess we'll see how it plays out. I mean, it's going to be a big cycle. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of year-end races where this, the rest of the year come down to the very last cycle. I think if I'm doing the math right, out of our various leagues, only two leagues, no, I'm sorry, three leagues, the rest of the year is pretty much wrapped up, barring like one of those, Joe Boring, win every title
Yep.
possible
Yeah.
situations.
Am I one of those in the BWL?
I
How
think so,
far
yeah.
ahead am I?
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody's
Betty
got to win
News
like
way ahead of everybody
Women's
else.
World, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Nobody do that.
I think if I, off the top of my head, I think it's Better Than You, Monster Truck Tanaka, and I want to say Lanny Teague in the NWL. So those are the ones that are like locks to win. Like this, I mean, granted, if somebody comes up with it, well, I want to say it's if you hit everything, it's like 230 points, which is pretty crazy, but it
And
can happen.
this is a cycle where that could easily happen because we just said somebody's going to have like a 20% chance for one of their wrestlers. So
That would be the way I would
let
lose
the
a
fun go. Yeah, it's
rest
going
of
to
the year. Yeah, so.
be good.
All right. Well, any final words for the year-end close, Mike?
No, I got nothing.
All right. Well,
I'm out of
thank you for doing
words.
the show all year, and cross fingers for a nice score this week. And we'll catch you guys next year. Actually, I think, yeah, we'll be doing our next show probably like the end of January. I'm sorry, end of December, right? Because Iron's the day before New Year's, unless
Is
they
that
do
right?
Steel differently, right?
Let's wait and post that because I have no idea. We got to
All
rethink
right.
that. I know
We,
somebody put a little chart the other day.
yeah,
Let me go find that before we throw out some dates because
right.
we could
The
easily be
important
wrong.
part is just be active, have fun. And for those guys that got drafted, remember the leagues that open up ACW and the RTL's new name start in January. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Have happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, etc. All the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hans Gruber falling off the top of the Nakatomi Tower.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Thanks a lot.
All right.
I'll
See
see
ya.
you.